Hi, it's Mike Pangia, and today's project is Eggs in Purgatory. Now, I hate that name, and for more than one reason. First of all, Purgatory, for all intents and purposes, ceased to exist in 2007 when Joe Ratzinger, aka Pope Benedict XVI, said so. When I was a kid in Catholic school, the nuns were always having us pray for the poor souls in purgatory. Now I have a question. What happened to all those prayers? Did some heavenly prayer administrator redirect them to his choice of some other worthy cause? I just don't know. So help me out here. If you have any better suggestions for a name of this dish so we could get rid of this silly purgatory name, please submit them in the comments at the end of this video. Thanks. Before we get started cooking our eggs in purgatory, I'd like to note a couple of things about number one, the bread, and number two, the egg. The base of this dish is actually the slice of fried bread that we're going to make, and the better the bread, the better the dish. So if you have an artisan loaf of some kind and you can slice it thick, perhaps an inch thick or so, that's the best. Don't worry if you don't. If you had to make it with a slice of Wonder Bread, I'm sure it would be pretty good anyway. So let's not worry about that. The other issue is the egg. It is traditionally done with a poached egg, and traditionally the egg is poached in the tomato sauce, in the tomatoes that are cooking in the skillet. I prefer to poach the egg separately and lay it on top of the bread with the sauce. It just looks better to me. It's neater, it's cleaner. When you poach it in the sauce, it tends to be a little more misshapen, and I prefer it separately. And you'll see when we're done what mine looks like, and you can make your own judgment. If you want to save the use of one pot, you might try poaching it right in the tomato sauce. That way you don't have to boil the water and make it separate. With all of that said, let's get on with it and make one of these eggs in purgatory. Excuse the name, I can't help that. Other people named it. The bread you'll see me using here is my own sourdough bread. Now don't be jealous. In a future video we'll go through making that bread. Let's look for a nice thick slice. Which is particularly good for this dish. Since it's frozen, I'll have to microwave it slightly. "38 seconds should do it." At this point, I'll prep the bread by putting a little bit of freeze-dried garlic and a little bit of salt on each side. Press it in. I'm going to peel and slice a couple of cloves of garlic. I'm using canned, peeled, crushed tomatoes. To prepare the bread, we're going to use just enough olive oil to cover the bottom of the skillet. Heat it up till we can see a little bit of waviness on the surface, then we'll know it's hot enough. That looks about right. We can start our bread. After a minute or so, you can pick up one end of the bread and check it. I'd like it to toast a little bit more. Okay, that looks nice and toasty. Let's get the other side. That's done. Let it drain on a paper towel until we're ready for it again. Now, we're going to take the same oil and move it to another pan. As much as I love cast iron, it really doesn't work well with a tomato sauce, which tends to remove the seasoning. I'm going to put a little more oil in here. I like to cover the bottom of the pan. Get it heated up. Once the oil has heated a bit, we want to grind in some fresh black pepper. And a little bit of dried, crushed red pepper. If you like it very spicy, you could put more. Less spicy, you could put less or none. Ready to add the tomatoes. Mash down any chunks. Stir the oil into the tomatoes. And let it cook on low heat. Now we're going to poach an egg. Start by getting the loosest part of the white out by straining it with a fine sieve strainer. Okay, that looks pretty good. We'll turn our water down to a slow boil I like to use a little bit of apple cider vinegar to help coagulate the egg. And now the traditional whirlpool. Get that going, and we'll put the egg down into the middle of it. Alexa, set timer 3 minutes.
3 minutes, starting now.
I'm seeing that little wisp of an egg white thread hanging off the egg. So I'm going to trim it off right now. Part of what makes cooking fun is to make it pretty when you serve it. That's done. I use a slotted spoon to rescue the egg. And one thing I find works well to get the extra water out is to just lay it on a folded sheet of paper towel. Like that. Add those garlic slices to the tomato mix so they could cook in with it. Stir them in. Okay, let's put it all together. There you have it, eggs in purgatory. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. And if you did, I'd like to tell you there are more on the way. Hit subscribe at the bottom of this screen and you'll get the rest of them. Thanks for watching.